Hey guys, this is Andrew Dolan. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Fanuc Robot, doing some power up and a little bit of a walkthrough on the robot, some of the parts and pieces that we're working with. So first of all, let's get going by powering up the robot. So on the lower part of the robot, we have the robot's controller here, and to turn it on and off, let me just adjust my camera down here. There we go. So we have this button right here. This is the power disconnect for the robot. And to get it powered up, that's the first thing we're going to do, is just twist that to its on position. Obviously it should be plugged in, and you'll hear the robot beginning to start up. And we can also take a look at the teach pendant. There we go. And you'll see some boot up sequences happening on the teach pendant. So once the robot is fully powered up, booted up, you'll see a different menu. This kind of thinking screen will go away, and you'll get the regular robot screen there. So that's pretty darn simple. Simply make sure it has power, plug it in, and get it booted up, and life is good. So there we go, waiting for startup, and voila, the robot is ready to go. Everything's powered up and we are set. Now when you're running the robot, a couple of things I want to be very strict about here is make sure that this robot cell is clear of all sorts of other junk. So when it's running in production or automatic mode, you should know where the teach pendant is, and it has a little teach pendant holder down here at the bottom. Go ahead and put that in place when it's running in automatic mode. And then generally speaking, this surface here is not a collect-all for all kinds of other junk in the lab. We want to make sure that this surface is kept clear of everything except for the robot fixtures and things that should be in place. This is not a place for you to stash your extra tools and book bags, and it's definitely not a surface that we're going to be disassembling gearboxes on. Okay, want to keep this surface free and clear of all kinds of stuff. So when you're operating the robot in its teaching mode, which most of the time that's what we're going to be doing in the lab as we get familiar with it, we set the switch down there to the T1 position. We're in good shape, and then I'll talk about the teach pendant itself a little bit more. Want to make sure that that is in the on position right there. That switch is set to on. Both e-stops are pulled out, and at that point we should be able to jog the robot around, again hitting the dead man switch to the center position. Shift and reset should clear any faults, so we're free of faults there. That red light for fault is not illuminated, and then we can jog the robot around as needed. So this is a 6-axis robot, and let me zip out to a different camera angle to talk about all the different axes that are on here. So we're in jogging mode here. I'm going to change this up so that it is in what we call joint mode. So this is axis joint number 1, the base of the robot swiveling back and forth. Axis number 2, and you'll notice that axis 2 is actually going to move to the joint number 2 and 3 at the same time, and it's trying to keep this arm level as it's moving. Joint 3 can be moved independently by itself. But it's interesting that only when it's in joint mode, only joint 2 will actually move 2 joints at one time to keep joint number 3 kind of level with the table. Joint number 4, joint number 5, and joint number 6, that bottom swivel there. So that's jogging the robot in a joint mode, and generally when we're done with the robot, what we like to do is to put it back in its kind of home state, and I'll talk about that just a little bit. There's a button here that says data, okay, and it shows up a bunch of registers on the screen. So I'm going to zoom in on these registers. If I hit this button here that says type and change it to position register, hit enter, then what I like to do whenever I power down the robot and leave it for the day is to put it back in its home position. That's a global position register. And how I got there, once again, is to go to data, hit the data button on the teach pendant, and by default I think this is at just regular registers. We want to change it so it says position register. So sometimes you may need to change the type and go to position registers, but here it's already there. And what we can do is move it there by hitting the dead man switch, shift reset to clear out any errors, the fault light turned off, and then hit this move to button, and we can do that by hitting the F2 key. And when I do that, the robot's going to move back to its home position. So it has arrived. This is what's considered the robot's home position, and when we're powering it down, that's the position we want to see it lined up in. There's some other reasons for that, but that is the case. So whenever you're powering down the robot, we want to make sure that it's back in its home position. That's a position register, and you'll see that most of the joints are set to 0 degrees in that case. And then I guess some other things I want to just make sure I cover on here is that this cord going to the teach pendant, we always want to be mindful of this cord. We don't want to be stepping on this cord, dragging it across the area. Basically only unwind as much of this cord as necessary to do the task you need to do. And when we're finished with the robot for the day, what I want you to do is make sure that none of this cord is touching the floor. Wrap it up and put it on its teach pendant holder. That's good. And to power down, all we have to do is to basically take that disconnect switch and turn it to its off position, and that would power the robot down. So just going to change the camera a little bit, and all we have to do to power down, get it in its home position, and then hit that power button, the disconnect switch to the off position, and the robot is now basically in a good position for it to be used by the next student. So those are the basics of powering up the robot, powering down the robot, and making sure that we keep the area clear, and we also are mindful of the cord associated with that teach pendant, that we're not stepping on it and dragging it across the floor, because all these parts are pretty expensive. So thank you guys in advance for your coordination or collaboration with this, keeping the robot station free and clear and in good shape. If anything does ever happen with this machine, please let me know right away and we can get it repaired. So until next time.